it's Miss Sarika, and we are working on comparing functions t-shirt companies today. This is from the 8th grade packet, and the title of the worksheet is Comparing Functions T-Shirt Companies. So let's get started. The 8th grade is planning to order official shirts. You guys ordered your shirts for graduation. This is what they're doing in the problem. The student council is researching shirt printers to find the best price for the shirts. Each company has a setup charge and a cost per shirt. Analyze each function and then answer the questions to help find the best deal. Okay, so there are two things I want to go over first before we get started. The setup charge is the y-intercept. To find the setup charge, we need to find the y-intercept. To find the y-intercept, it's when x is 0. And then the cost per shirt, I'm sure you're saying it while watching this, it's the slope. So now that we know what we're looking for, I'm looking for the y-intercept and the slope. We can analyze each function. We're going to go through it. I'm not going to answer every question because then you guys wouldn't have to do anything. Okay. So let's look at impressive imprints. Impressive imprints send a brochure with the following table. Number of shirts, cost. Number of shirts is our X. I'm writing a big X right there. And cost is our Y. So I know what my X values are and I know what my Y values are. My X values are number of shirts and my Y values are cost. Okay, so here's our table. Fabulous. Let's look at the first question. How much is the setup charge? Well, I said at the beginning, the setup charge is our y-intercept. And we find our y-intercept when we see where x is 0. Well, is x 0 in the table? It is. When the number of shirts, x is 0, the cost is $100. Therefore, that's our y-intercept. Y-intercept. So, how much is the setup charge? $100. And much does each shirt cost? To find how much each shirt costs, we need to find the slope. And I'm sure you guessed it, we need to use our equation for slope. How do we find the slope? Given 2 points, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Well, I'm going to use when x is 0 and 100, and when y is 100, I'm going to use when x is 20 and when y is 330. Those are 2 points, and they will make our slope. So my y value for y2 is 330. You gotta do it right down here. 330 minus my y1 is 100. My x is 20. 20 minus 0. Well, 330 minus 100 is 230. 20 minus 0 is 20. And so we get, I have my little calculator, I'm doing the calculations over here. 230 divided by 20. And I get my slope to be 11.5 or 11 and 5 tenths. So each shirt, how much does each shirt cost? $11.50. So the value changes based on the number of shirts by $11.50. So if one shirt costs $11.50, 2 shirts would cost $23, etc., and etc. So now we can write our function. So y equals our slope, $11.50 times x, the number of shirts, plus our y-intercept, which is 100. And there we go. Now we have our function. And let's look at the next problem. Awesome apparel. Woohoo. Sounds a little bit better than impressive imprints, if you ask me. Okay, so Awesome Apparel. The student council found this information on Awesome Apparel's website. Well, first things first, I know I need to find the setup charge. And I told you the setup charge is the y-intercept. The y-intercept is when x, number of shirts, y cost, when x, the number of shirts is 0. When the number of shirts is 0, our cost is $200. That is our setup cost. And how much does each shirt cost? We got to find the slope, your favorite thing in the world to do. I'm going to use 380 for my y2, and I'm going to use 200 for my y1. And then the x's that match is 20 for my x2 minus 0 for my x1. Again, I'm using my little calculator. just doing my little calculation. So 380 minus 200, I can do that in my head without a calculator, is 180. 20 minus 0 is 20. And you get 180 divided by 20. And I get each shirt to cost $9. So how much does each shirt cost is $9. That is the slope. And I have everything I need to set up my equation because y equals mx plus b. That is my equation format. So y equals my slope, which is 9, times x. So 9x plus my y-intercept is 200. And again, y is cost equals 11.5x plus 100. Cost, because cost is what y is, equals 9x plus 200. Awesome. So now let's look below. Oh my goodness, though, for standout shirts, they don't give me a table. They give me a graph. What am I going to do? Well, I'm going to take a deep breath because we know how to solve this. So let's look at standout shirts. I'm still looking for the setup charge, which is the y-intercept, and I'm still looking for how much does each shirt cost, which is the slope. I'm looking for the same thing. I'm just given the information in a different way. What do I know about the y-intercept on a graph? Again, I do realize that no one is responding to me. I'm just giving you a little bit of think time for you to think of the answer before I say it. I'm not crazy. I'm not like Dora the Explorer. Remember, the y-intercept is when the line crosses the y-axis. Well, the cost in dollars, remember the vertical axis is the y-axis and the horizontal axis, the number of shirts, is the x-axis. Well, it looks like the line crosses the y-intercept it looks like the line crosses the y-axis at 0. So our setup charge is 0. We're paying no setup charge. And then we need to find our slope. To find our slope, we need 2 points. I'm going to use this point and this point. And I need to use my slope equation y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And this point is 0, 0. And this point is 10, 150. So it's 150 minus 0 over 10 minus 0. Well, 150 minus 0 is 150. Super easy. And 10 minus 0 is 10. Couldn't get easier. And we get 150 divided by 10 is $15. So our slope is $15. Now I can set up my function. Y equals 15, because that's my slope, x, plus, and my y-intercept, where the line crossed the y-axis, was 0, so it's just plus 0. So cost equals 15x, because my y-intercept is 0. Super duper easy. So not last but not least, lots of logos. So far, that's my favorite name of the 4 different funnily named shirt companies. Lots of logos. Okay, so again, the y-intercept on a graph. To find the y-intercept on a graph, it's when the line crosses the y-axis. The y-axis is the vertical axis, and the x-axis is the horizontal axis. I'm gonna write that y, x. Well, the line crosses the y-axis at 0, 25. Super easy. So my setup charge is $25. My y-intercept. Sorry, I'm just writing that over there. My y-intercept. Now, last but not least, I need to find my slope. Well, I'm going to use this point and this point. I'm going to use, and this point is 10, 155, and this point is 0, 25. So super easy. I'm going to solve for the slope right down here. So it's 155 because it's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. It's 155 minus 25 over 10 minus 0. Well, 155 minus 25 equals 130. I didn't really need a calculator for that. 130, and then 10 minus 0 is 10. So my cost per shirt, or my slope, is $13. So I have everything I need to make my function, and I get, my function is y equals 13, I plug in for slope, m, 13x, and I have my y-intercept is 25, 13x plus 25. Again, the cost equals 13x plus 25. I filled out everything on the comparing functions t-shirt companies. We set up all the equations, we found the slope, we did all of that. That means the question portion, I am not solving for you. You can comment below with any questions. I will specifically answer your questions, but I am not putting a video up of solving the questions. We've got all the information in the first page. Even if you don't understand it, you'll at least have the comparing functions t-shirt companies set up. It's up to you to try and use that information to answer the questions. Again, please comment below with any questions or concerns, and I can respond to you. And if you have other questions in the packet, please ask, and I will make a video. Okay, bye-bye.